either I win or I crash. It's pretty much that mindset there.
Inside. Erickson won't let it happen.
Winning the biggest race in the world, that's on the line. For all the sacrifices throughout my career, it's worth it because of that moment there.
Final lap, the whole world watching. What's that feel like? From South Bend to Evansville and everywhere in between, this is Get In, the show focused on the Hoosier State and the incredible stories happening here today. I'm Nate Spengel, founder of Get Indiana, and I will be your host for today's conversation. Did you know that Indiana has been a hub for sports innovation for over a century? Starting with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where pioneers tested game-changing tech like seatbelts and anti-lock brakes. That forward-thinking spirit is still in overdrive today, and Sports Tech HQ is at the center of it. They're on a mission to scout the most groundbreaking sports tech that is shaping the future of sports, and to bring those innovators right here to Indiana. Guess what? It's working. Sports Tech HQ already has 38 companies in its collective that call Indiana home, with 16 relocating from around the world in just the past year. Home to a world-class sports infrastructure, Indiana provides the perfect foundation for entrepreneurs to advance innovations that can change the game for fans, athletes, and teams. Sports Tech HQ is the leading global hub for an industry that is projected to reach $100 billion by 2030. Discover how these companies are driving the future of sports through Indiana's robust ecosystem of partners at sthq.org. Today, I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Marcus Ericsson, the world-renowned Swedish IndyCar driver and 2022 Indianapolis 500 champion. Marcus is part of the Andretti IndyCar team and is in the thick of his season. Today, we're going to be talking about his journey to IndyCar, what life looks like outside of the race car, and why he has chosen to build his life in the Hoosier State. Marcus, welcome to Get In.
Yeah, that sounds good. Nice intro. I get pumped just hearing that.
There we go.
I'm excited.
Well, we've had a little bit of practice, but I've never introduced an Indy 500 champion, and I was pretty fired up for that. I was like, delivered that a few times practicing, right?
Yeah, I can tell.
Man, well, welcome to the show. I'm super excited for this one. When your team reached out on Instagram and was like, "Hey, we should set up an," I was like, "Oh my gosh, like let's go!"
Yeah.
I'm hyped because obviously through all the career of racing and IndyCar, but like the pinnacle, right, of winning an Indianapolis 500 is like what Get In is all about, telling these stories of Hoosiers. And an interesting piece that we're going to get into later is that you've chosen to call Indianapolis home. And I think that is an interesting piece when the biggest names in racing can live anywhere. Like the fact that you choose to live in Indianapolis is, that pumps me up, right? But before we get to that, I do want to talk about kind of like your journey from Sweden that brought you to Indianapolis and into IndyCar, right? So How early in your career did you know like a professional race car driver is the thing I'm going to do?
Yeah, I started with go-karts as a kid. I would say most racing drivers sort of start there. And that was when I was sort of 8 years old. I didn't really have like a clear path. Like my family wasn't involved in racing or anything like that. But it was like a rental go-kart place close to where I grew up in Sweden. I kept bugging my dad, like, I want to go, I want to try, I want to go. And I think eventually he just got tired of me bugging him. So he let me have a go and I loved it. And then I was sort of hooked since then. And I kept going to that rental car place. Eventually the owner there helped my dad to buy me a go-kart. And that's sort of where my journey started. Whilst doing go-kart, it was more like a hobby in Sweden. But then after a few years, when I won some championships in Sweden, it sort of became more of a dream than a hobby to become a racing driver. And then, the journey from there to get all the way to Indianapolis and IndyCar was long, obviously through all the junior series. I did Formula One for 5 years, 7 years ago now. It sounds crazy, but yeah, 7 years ago I came here to Indianapolis.
How big is racing in Sweden?
It's pretty big. Off-road stuff is maybe a bit more popular, or like it's bigger. But now the last sort of 20 years, I would say racing on tracks has become more popular again. So it's pretty big. It's quite a small country, Sweden, right? We have ice hockey and skiing is like the main stuff that people do. but yeah, racing is still very popular.
I just think through, over in Europe and the different sports, it's like, think American football. But in Indiana, racing is like the thing, right? From growing up in Sweden, what was your opinion or what were your thoughts towards the Indy 500 or Indianapolis or racing in America?
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, I remember with my dad watching TV of the Indy 500 from a very early age, and mainly because we had a Swedish driver called Kenny Brack who was racing here, and he actually won in, I think, 99. So I remember watching that as a kid growing up, and already then, I was only like 8, 9, 10 years old. I dreamed to become an IndyCar driver one day, do the Indy 500 one day, so...
You're right, 99.
99, there you
right,
go.
and so he was kind of in 99, how old were you?
9 years old.
You're 9 years old, and you see, this Swedish driver win the Indy 500, and were you instantly like, that's something I want to do one day?
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. And I remember, late nights with the time difference, late night watching Kenny race in, not only the 500 but other races as well here in the US. That was
what's
really
the
cool.
what's the time difference there? It
6
starts
hours.
6. So what starts at 1 o'clock here would be 7 o'clock at night, finishing up 10 p.m. That's kind of cool. Yeah. I do think a night race would be fun if you could pull off the thing with all the lights and whatnot.
That'd be sick.
And so you're 2 races into this season so far. I mean, how has this year been going? And kind of give us a look into, as we prep. I will give the caveat: this is going to come out the week before the Indy 500, so we're going to hype everyone up. So we're only 2 races in as we're recording it, but how's the season been going for you thus far?
It's been pretty good. We had a good off season. The off season is quite long in IndyCar, so it's like a lot of time to work on yourself and work with your team. But yeah, the first 2 races, the first race in Florida, St. Petersburg, was pretty good. I finished 6th there. Last time out in Thermal was going really well. I qualified 5th, and then we had a bit of a messy race, so didn't get a good result out of that. But still been a good start. I think we're onto a good season. Obviously, when people see this, hopefully I've won a couple of races. So
yeah, he's coming off a really hot stretch where he's won the last 3, right? Going for the 4th at the Indy 500. Yeah, come on. That's it. Well, you talked about this off season, right, and how it's long. I mean, when does the season wrap up? What time of year?
Usually it's like September.
And it kicks off in February.
Yeah.
Right, so you have 5 months there, and again, I preface this that you have chosen to call Indianapolis home. What does the off season look like for an IndyCar racer?
I mean, a lot of physical training, I would say, but we also drive like driver simulators, because these days we don't get a chance to drive so much the race car. I would love to drive the race car every week, but we can't do that for they regulate those things and try and keep costs down, etc. So it's a lot about training, a lot about sponsor things, media things, stuff like that. But also, of course, a bit of time off. You try and, get some time off. For me, go back to Sweden. My wife is Danish, so we go over to Denmark as well. So just try and sort of relax a little bit. When we live here, we have a house here in Indy. We spend a lot of time here.
How far has the simulator technology come? So, racing go-karts when you're 8, 9 years old, you get into professional racing 10 years ago. I doubt that it was where it is today, but what has the development over the last few years looked like from the innovation of the technology of simulators?
It's very steep. It's really improving all the time, and it's getting very real. It's a lot of guys and girls that drive simulators that actually can drive real race cars and do that really well. So it's pretty impressive. Obviously, we have quite advanced ones with the team. Like we have through Honda, really super advanced. It's like flying around in a room is pretty crazy.
Like elevated?
Yeah.
No
it's up
way.
in the air, and it's like moving
so this
around.
is not like your arcade game,
no,
right?
Exactly.
This
That's like insane.
And it gives you like a real, because the one thing that I've heard a bunch is it's heavy. Like there's no power steering. And it takes a lot of physical strength and neck muscles to be able to do, whether it's a road course or like the oval at Indianapolis. So the training regimen. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. It's like, are you in the gym hitting bench press, or like what does your training look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of cardio training, because our races is like 2 hours long. So you need a really strong cardio. But because what you're saying, it's no power steering, right? So it's really heavy to steer those cars. You need quite a bit of upper body strength. Actually, this off season we just came off, I really focus on that. I really try to, with my trainer, we try to build some more strength. I had my team said you can gain 10 pounds of muscle. That's good, within the car. So that's what I did. So yeah,
because that's the other piece too, right? The seats are like form fit to your exact body. Yeah. So, you think from February to September, it's like you can't be like eating junk and gaining a little weight because you won't fit in the right spot.
Exactly. You can't get in your car.
Do you know what your heart rate is? Like on average, let's say how long is an average race? Like how many hours? 2 hours. Yeah. What's your average heart rate for an entire race?
Usually you're around 80% of your max for like 2 hours. So it's like it's
80%.
crazy. Yeah.
So it's like running,
Yeah,
you're,
it's like
you're
running. Yeah, it's like you're running fast.
I think this would be fun to talk through to the listeners. You have like Gatorade or water. Like what's the fuel look like?
Yeah, you have a drink system through your helmet when you race. It doesn't hold a ton of drink, but I have some like electrolytes and salts and minerals and stuff through there, so I can get some energy. But it's hard, man. When you drive, you're so focused on driving and like to drink as well at the same time. You don't have a ton of time for that.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. Yeah, you're trying to keep the car on the track, keep yourself like on the track, as well as hydrate and all the different things going on. I can't imagine.
It's pretty insane. Like mentally, I think that's the thing for a racing driver. It's obviously very physical, like we talk about, but it's also so mental challenge because you have to be so concentrated. One tiny mistake when you do like 200 miles an hour can end in big consequences and you can hurt yourself. So it's really like the mental challenge of a race is I would say even harder than the physical one.
How do you train your mental performance to race an IndyCar?
I work a lot with a mental coach, so like just to be in the right sort of mindset, the way I think in race weekends, in races and so on. So I have a mental coach in Sweden I work with like weekly. The physical training goes hand in hand with that because if I'm stronger physically, my heart rate's going to be lower, I'm going to be sharper in making my decisions. I also work with my eyes, like training my eyes to be like sharp, good reactions and stuff like that. So it's a lot that goes into it.
What's the most underrated skill that an IndyCar driver needs? Like something that people wouldn't think about.
The ability to have a lot of information, taking a lot of information while still driving. So you need to obviously listen to your team on the radio. You need to change things on your steering wheel because you have like different things on the engine settings, have an eye on all the other cars around you, on your reference points while driving. There's a lot of things going on that I think people just think that you just jump in and drive, but it's so much more than goes on during a race.
Yeah, how much of it is natural talent versus honed, developed skill over a lot of time and a lot of reps?
I think in anything you do, natural talent will only get you so far. And when you get, higher up the ranks, you get to a point where everyone has a ton of natural talent, and then it becomes who is the best at working hard, realizing what you need to work on, and be honest to yourself. I think those are the ones that becomes the greats. Everyone could be good, but the greats are the one that really puts the work in.
Well, and it's clear, right? You're one of the greats. You're grinding. And you're forever immortalized as an Indy 500 champion, which is, incredible. Well, as you were coming up through, right? You ended up, had a career with F1, and then you ended up with IndyCar. But in that journey from go-karts, you talked about winning some junior championships. Where was that moment that tipped the iceberg of like, I'm going to go be excellent? I'm going to go be an excellent driver.
When I did go-karts, it was still like on a level where I had a dream to become a racing driver, but I'd never really thought it was going to become reality because with my family and everything, I thought it was not going to be possible. But then when I was like 15, I got picked up by this junior racing program that was going to help me with sponsors and stuff. And it was actually run by Kenny Brack, that Swedish guy who won the 500. And I think it was at that point when I realized, okay, I have an opportunity here. I have an opportunity to become a racing driver. And that's when sort of the dream kind of become reality. But it was still a long way to become professional. But sort of at that point when I was 15, 16, I sort of understood that, yeah, this could become my career.
At what age did you have to leave home? Because obviously you have to go out and leave Sweden to go do all these races all across Europe, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so when I was in go-karts, as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, we were traveling, me and my dad, to Italy back and forth all the time. I was going on my own as well many times. But the first time I really moved from Sweden, from my home, was when I was 18, and I moved to Japan, which was like other side of the world, all on my own. So it was
You're in
crazy.
Japan by yourself, no mom, no dad. Like, wow.
Yeah, that was pretty insane.
Okay.
I still don't understand, and I keep telling that to my mom. Like, how do you let me move to Japan on my own? And she's like, I don't know what we were thinking. I can't believe we did this.
Yeah, right. It's just like, and in the moment you're like, this is what we have to do. Like, you're doing this, and then you're in Japan, and you go through it. And then when did you end up coming to the States?
I would say the first times was with F1. I don't think I had been here before, but moving here was in 2019.
What was the F1? Where did you
We raced in Austin.
So that was your first experience. When did you get your first lap at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
It was in 2019. Yeah.
So 2019.
Yeah.
And you're pulling up to, had you been to Indiana before? Probably not.
No.
So you're pulling up to Indiana for the first time. You get off the plane. You're at the Indianapolis International Airport. You're driving like the 15-minute drive that it is to Speedway, maybe like 10. What did you think as you saw the Speedway for the first time?
It was crazy because the size of it, right? Like when you get to the gates of the IMS and you see how big it is, I think that was what blew my mind first of all. And then you see the pagoda, you see the grandstand, you see all the sort of historic things around it, and that really made it very special for me. And it was funny because it was like you say, I actually arrived here in like late 2018 for the first time after I'd signed my first IndyCar contract, and basically one of the first things, I think the first thing I did was to go to the Speedway. So it's pretty
It's
cool.
like, you want to move, you want to see where you're going to live, where you're, no, don't need to see that. Like, let's just go to the
I
Speedway.
think it was snowing even. It was crazy. Yeah.
Well, and I think that one thing, we are super blessed in Indiana to have the Speedway, but sometimes because it is in our backyard, we kind of like, I wouldn't say we take it for granted, but we don't realize the magnitude of IMS. And so from the Swedish perspective, or just the international perspective, what is the globe's perspective or opinion of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and what does it mean on a global level?
It's super big. It's a legendary place, and I think that goes all the way to Sweden. And when I won the 500, that was one of the things. I got the chance to bring the Borg Warner Trophy to Sweden, and like it was a week-long celebration, and people came from all over Sweden to see the Borg Warner trophies and sort of get a glimpse of it. And I think that says a lot about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Indy 500, how big it is. I even got surprised how big it was in Sweden. Like I knew people knew about it and sort of watched the 500, but man, it was like crazy how much people came out just to see that.
Like, what was going through your mind as you go home, you have the Borg Warner Trophy, and you're back in your home country, and people show out. Like, what were the emotions that are going through there?
Unreal for me. Like, that was one of the biggest moments with winning the 500, was to bring that Borg Warner Trophy to Sweden and have like a week of it in Sweden, celebrating it with my family, friends, but also the fans.
Was Kenny there?
I think he was there. Yeah, I think he was there. Yeah.
Well, you're talking about winning the 500. We do have to go in and we have the clip pulled up, and I'd love to talk through like what's going through your head at different moments, and we'll pause it throughout and kind of just dive from a not necessarily like a tactical racing point, but from an emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
The radio was it's on you, Marcus.
Yeah. So basically,
The field in your hands. You get to
this has just been, it's a restart, obviously, with 3 to go, or 2 to go when we take the green. I think the big thing for me is that it's been like, it's been the red flag. I was leading that race. I was going to win that race. And then it was the red flag, restart.
So red flag, restart. Are you like, I'm going to win this thing? And now it's like, it tightens the field back up. And you're like, oh, shit, I got to be sharp again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had that race covered. And then that red flag came, and it's sort of all up to play for again. The whole field is bunched up. So I was really angry at that red flag, because I was like, man, this is just so unfair.
And so right here, you kind of like go up and down the track pretty quick, right? Is that snake? Is that what we call that?
Yeah, I think something like that.
So here
snaking
it's like
our way, trying to break the draft, right?
Right. So you're there. Yeah, you're trying to. So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get them off the draft, and you go up high there. And at this moment, right, you're coming out of turn 1. There's 2 laps to go. Okay, you're just thinking like,
just trying to be perfect and just focusing on the mirrors really to see where they are behind and try and break that draft, because the draft is so powerful at Speedway. So you try and do anything to do that, and that's why every straight I'm just trying to snake it down the straights to not make them be able to pull up the side of me.
Okay, so you're going here. We're coming out of turn 2 there.
Hey, you'll see now again, snaking down.
Okay, so. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. So you're going through turn 3, in this piece. You got a little bit of a lead there. At what point were you like, did you feel good? Like, okay, I can. Or
not until the line. Man.
Not here. All right.
Because here, like when we get to 1 to go, he's got a good run on me.
Okay, so we're here. Because, that comes up, right, where it's, oh man, I think it's like going into 1, right?
Yeah, he's going to be.
He's right on your heels there.
Run, yeah.
Right there. Okay. He shifts out there. What's going through your head?
Yeah, but here is the moment where it's like, gotta either commit or like give up. And I was just committed to like, I'm gonna keep my foot in. I'm gonna keep my foot flat.
Your foot is through the floor right now.
It's like, either I win or I crash. It's pretty much that mindset there. Winning the biggest race in the world it's just, that's on the line. So you gotta give it everything.
So your foot's through the floor. He's out on the outside there, makes his run, and then you come back and you're like, nope, you're not getting back.
Yeah.
And does that cause him to have to slow down and come in?
He's gonna have to live tough there, and then he loses his momentum. So it's like that was the winning move. And then, he does sort of get a draft again, but it's just not enough time.
Right. So then, you start to put some space there. And so you're coming out of turn, is that 2 right there?
Yeah.
Through the backstretch. Again, that snake, the snake movement. But you're getting some distance there, right? Like the win came in turn 1.
Yeah, 100%.
And at this point, okay, so coming through that final one.
Yeah, now it goes yellow.
And so when that yellow came, was that just like, hey, it's over? Like you knew it was over at that point?
Yeah.
And so you're going to win. Before you even cross the finish line, you're going to win.
Yeah.
What's like the first thing through your head?
I actually just started to scream, it was so much emotion. So I think for me, it was so much built up. So like when I realized it, I just started to scream and was like screaming to myself for a while. 2
hours of focus, of energy, right? You talk about the fighting the power steering, the last turn 1, with, I don't know, what's the time it takes to get around a lap? Like 50 seconds, 40 seconds? Something like that. Like all builds up to that last piece. And you're just like, I'm putting my foot through the floor and I'm going to win this thing or we're going out.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just like all releases as you go through here, right? And then it kind of cuts to your crew in the pits. And that's another piece, right? Where it's like you're the one that's driving. Like you're the driver and a lot of the notoriety and everything. I mean, you have to obviously do that. But how much of the credit goes to also the team as well?
No,
he's still cheesing over here too. I mean, it's an insane moment. But look at those guys. Like, look at everyone there. Everyone in the pits are just going nuts.
It's a dream for them as well, Like it's like you say, it's not. I might be the one driving the car, but it's like the people that works on the cars. It's their dream as well. Like their ultimate dream is to win the Indy 500, and they are Indy 500 champions as well. So that's the cool thing. It might be the driver driving the car, but it's such a team effort. It's such a team sport. If that car wasn't set up right, if my pit stops wasn't done right, if the strategy wasn't done right, we would not have won. Racing,
especially IndyCar, is like a game of just centimeters and milliseconds and just tiny little oh my gosh, it's like one flat turn right of a nut.
No, it's all in the details, man. It's all in the details.
Right. As you wrapped up there and you became an Indy 500 champion, what was the emotion? Like, what were you just thinking?
Relief in some ways, because, all my life I worked towards, winning a race like that. And winning the 500 is like winning the ultimate race, the biggest race in the world.
Yeah, if you had to choose, would it be win the 500? Is it comparable to the... Like, is it a cup or what's the whole IndyCar series?
The 500 for sure is bigger. There's no doubt about that.
That's pretty crazy.
I would say anyone you would ask would pick a 500 over this championship, for sure. That was the thing after that race. Is like, no matter what happens after this or before this, I'm always going to be a 500 champion now. And I think that was a big thing for me, that all the hard work, all the sacrifices throughout my career, it's worth it because of that moment there when I win the race.
And at that point, it was 2022. You had come to Indiana late 2018. So it's like by that point, you're a few years in, and it's like you get to win on what seems to be home turf now.
Yeah.
Right, because you're an Indy guy now.
Yeah, but that was the cool thing as well. When I came, I did my first 500 in 2019, and I don't think I realized just how big it was. But then when I did my first one, I was just like completely blown away. It was like, oh my God, this is the coolest experience ever. The whole month of May is just so special. Being here in Indy and seeing how the city lives with the speedway in that month of May was super cool. And then, to win it here, it's hard to even describe it.
May in Indianapolis is just like, I think I would describe it as like, it's just bursting at the seams with energy. Like the entire Indianapolis area.
Everywhere. In the whole Indy is like just people loves it and lives for the race.
Oh, it's so cool. It's amazing. And it's so fun, like race day.
So are you a snake pit guy or what?
I'm not a snake. So last year I did the this was like the thing that like really helped me like become like, okay, I'm going to make Indiana focused content. So I bought a truck off Facebook Marketplace and I went on this mission to be the first truck in the infield at the Indy 500. So not snake pit, but we hosted our own tailgate. It's a 1986 Dodge pickup truck. It's like this old beater, but I love it. We got there at like 10 p.m. the night before and sat in line. I served coffee and donuts to the first 25 people behind me and like just made it a whole big community thing and got in there. And then there was the rain delay. And so it was just the craziest cool experience. But I was like, I think I stayed up for 30 hours straight, like something like that. It was nuts. It was insane. And we're going to, again, I'm a glutton for pain, I suppose. We're going to do it again this year.
Yeah, let's go.
For back to back.
Hopefully not the rain delay this
Yeah, right.
Nice.
Yeah, well, the good part was we actually watched more racing this year than we had ever done before. And like, I'm usually like come out for the first 20, 50 laps, whatever there, and then, go back, hang out for a while and come back and watch the end. But these are like everything ran dry at the tailgate, so we were just like watching racing and having. And I was like, it gave me even more of an appreciation for the art that is what you guys do. Quick pause in the action. Do you want to be able to submit questions to my future guests in advance? Do you want access to exclusive discounts with our Hoosier partners? Do you want to make sure you're invited to all of our private in-person events across the state? If you answered yes to all or any of those questions, you need to head to Instagram and subscribe to our Get In Insiders channel. For $4.99 a month, you're going to be able to ask our guests questions, get great discounts, and above all, help us fund all of this amazing Indiana content that we create. Head over to Instagram at Nate Spangle and subscribe. Now let's get back to the episode. But as we do talk about, coming to Indy, what was home like in Sweden? Like, were you from a big town, a small town? What did that look like?
Small town, quite close to like a bigger city. But yeah, I'm from a small town called Kumla, so that's where I grew up.
And were you like a tight-knit community there?
Yeah. My buddies, my friends, my family. It's a very small place, I would say.
And so coming to Indy, have you been able to build a similar, tight-knit community here? Maybe even beyond just the other people within racing,
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, mostly it's racing people, but also since living here for quite a while now, we also, hang out with, local people as well, and, really enjoy that. So it's become, it's home for us, no doubt about that.
I was gonna say, when did you make the decision that Indy was gonna be home?
Straight away when I moved to IndyCar and was going to race in IndyCar, for me it was clear to me I wanted to live in Indianapolis because...
What made that clear?
First of all, it was because of the racing side of things, because of IMS, because of, most race teams in IndyCar are based in Indy. So for me, I'm always that kind of guy. I want to do things all the way. Like, I don't want to sort of half do it. If I want to be successful at something, I believe in working hard and sort of putting everything into it. So that's why, that was the first reason I wanted to move to Indy. Since living here, it became home and I really enjoyed it and, wanted to stay here and wanted to build, my life around living here in Indianapolis.
And when you were picking where to get a house at, what went through your evaluation process of, okay, do I want to be a north side? Do I want to live out in Speedway, Broad Ripple? Like, what kind of went through your mind there?
First, moving here, I didn't really know anything about the city, so I just got an apartment downtown. I was in that 360 building.
Market 360?
Exactly, yeah.
Nice spot.
It was a nice spot, yeah. I liked that, but it was, when I got to know the city a bit more, I sort of liked it more on the north side. So then I moved to Carmel for a few years, and it was nice up there. But then again, there I had an apartment. But then when me and my wife was looking for houses, we wanted to go a bit more down somewhere in the middle because it felt like we're living up in Carmel. You sort of missed a bit of that sort of downtown feel.
You may be the only person that's ever moved to Carmel and then came back to the Indianapolis area. Everyone goes up there to just retire, it feels like.
Yeah, but now I'm sort of somewhere in between. And that's, I think, is the optimum spot to be sort of on the north side, but in between Carmel and downtown. I think it's the ultimate spot because you can go downtown for a Pacers game or dinner or whatever, and you can go up to Carmel if you want to go out there, and it's just a really good spot.
And so you split time between Sweden, and then your wife's from Denmark, and then Indy. So when you're in, let's say you're in Sweden or Denmark, what do you miss about Indianapolis? And when you're in Indianapolis, what do you miss about Sweden and Denmark?
So what I love about Indianapolis is the convenience of everything. It's really easy living here. I think, like, everything is open. There is restaurants, there is bars, there is cafes, it's just convenient living. When I go back to Sweden, it's a lot smaller. It's like not a lot of good restaurants. Convenience is not the same. I really miss that. I really like that here in Indy. Of course, family and friends is always going to be family and friends back home. You miss that when you're living out here in Indianapolis. It's still a long way. But since we got the house here, we still have people coming and visit and, staying at the house. So that sort of helps that a lot. Yeah.
Oh man, the community, the family, the friends, like irreplaceable.
Yeah, for sure.
Where was the moment? Okay, so you came and lived in America for the first time in late 2018. What was like the first American thing that you were just like, I freaking love that? Or maybe the first Indiana thing too.
I just come back to that convenience thing, like fact that you can always get what you need. I think at any time, I feel like.
Are there any local spots or places around Indiana that remind you of home?
I mean, in Sweden, it's built a lot on like walking or cycling and like, just like not having to be on your car all the time. So for me,
so not a good fit for you, obviously. Being in the car is what you needed. Drivable city.
That is true. But the Monon is something I really like. I really like the Monon. It's something I spend a lot of time on, especially during the summer. So running, walking, being on my bike. So that's something that, you know, reminds me of home for sure.
In the middle of the summer, it's so packed.
Yeah.
Like I love it, but I'm like an early morning, so I'll get out there early before everyone's out there. But if you go at like 4:30 p.m., it's like
you gotta
packed.
dodge all the kids and dogs and everything on the mono. Yeah,
Well, we love to see that though. So after I did the Indy 500 last year, like that whole campaign, I ran the entire Monon Trail.
Yeah.
So I started up in Sheridan.
I know.
And it was 31 miles down. And it was by the last like 4 miles of it, I was like, I hate this thing. I need a month detox from the Monon Trail.
I usually go on my bike and I go all the way up to Sheridan and then like turn around and then cycle back.
And that's the piece too, where like the performance and the training aspect of any, I think people are like, oh, he sits in a car and he drives. Like how many days are you training a week?
Pretty much every day. Yeah, pretty much. My trainer is angry because I'm here and not training with him this morning.
Sorry, boss.
But I'm doing it this afternoon instead. So
there you go. You'll still get your workout in. And so are workouts like in the weight room? Are you running? Is it cardio?
Yeah, I mean, it's very mixed, I would say. I think, you know, you have to be like any professional athlete. You need to train like any professional athlete because like we talked about, it's so tough in the car. It's so like hard heart rate and the mental side of things. I would say in the gym this year, I've been doing more weights. So like focusing more on weight, but obviously you can't be like bulky, right? You need to still fit in that car and be like pretty lean. Yeah, it's a mix of things. I have a trainer, Chris, who's doing a really good program with like a mix of...
Chris.
Yeah, sorry, Chris. With like strength, upper body strength, mixing it with cardio.
Well, I think we did some internet research, and I think recently you picked up another sport, right, in golf. Is that like in the past?
Like last year. Yeah.
Last year you started getting into golf. How is that? I was gonna say, does your experience and your training with an IndyCar translate to golf?
I think the mental side does. Yeah.
There you go.
Golf is so mentally frustrating because I can do the perfect. Hit the ball perfect, and then next time not perfect.
Yeah, and it feels like you're doing the same thing.
100%.
I just
very frustrating sport.
There's like a 15-year-old kid. His name's Blaze. He is like a golf prodigy, so good. Yeah. And we did a video, and he taught me how to play golf, and he's just like pelting this ball, and I look like a idiot. And it's so. Have there been moments where you like slice it, and you're just like, "What? I'm a professional athlete. Like I should be able to figure this out."
No, but that's the thing. I think that the annoying thing is I'm so inconsistent, right? But it's fun. Like I love it. But one thing I was amazed with was how many golf courses it is around Indianapolis. Like I never realized it's like golf courses everywhere. Like it's insane.
Where are your favorite golf courses to play in Indiana?
So usually I have friends up in Bridgewater.
Oh yeah.
So I play up there. Chatham Hills, Bridgewater.
That's where Liv's gonna be. At Chatham.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
And they have to like change up the course to make it, I think, a few of them longer or something. Yeah. Then that's gonna be wild.
Yeah, that's gonna be really cool.
That's pretty sweet for Indy to get something like a global golf tour coming here. Have you have to put on your bucket list? Have you played Pete Dye down in French Lick?
No.
It doesn't even look like you're in Indiana. It's like the rolling Southern Indiana hills, and Pete Dye is sick for the course that he made.
Give me a few months to practice and then I go.
Hey, there we go. Do you think there's a benefit? Like you're at the pinnacle. Like you are one of the best drivers in the world, but you're picking up something new and being a beginner at golf and like, you know, sucking a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
What is there a benefit to trying new things? And are there other new things that you want to try as you continue to grow?
For sure, 100%. I think in anything you do, I think challenging yourself is always going to make you grow as a person, and that translates to you as an athlete. So I definitely think so. I'm always curious to try new things and, you know, learn new things.
Is there something that you've tried where you thought like, oh, I'm going to be great at this, and then absolutely not good?
I mean, I think golf is a thing that it's easy to underestimate because, like you said, it looks pretty easy. Like you're like, yeah, I should be able to do that, but.
And you see some golfer, like somebody's grandpa who's like 65, 70 years old, and like, you know, maybe just a little bit bigger of an individual and just absolutely stripes the ball. And I'm like, dude, I'm like running, I'm like lifting, I'm doing stuff, and I can't hit the ball. It's crazy.
I hear you.
Man, we come to a sponsored segment by Orr Fellowship. So they're an organization here in Indiana that is helping develop young business leaders across the state. And so, Marcus, what advice would you give to your 22-year-old self?
Hard work pays off. I think that's my sort of motto, and like that's what I follow every day. It's like nothing comes for free. You need to like work hard, put your work in.
And it's like even today, right? It's like you're still continuing to work hard, train every day.
100%. Like that's what drives me. You know, like that drives me and makes me become better every year. You know, it's about always being curious, always being honest to yourself, and always trying to be better. And
you talk about working hard being like, you know, a core pillar of your character. After you won the Indy 500 and you kind of like achieved this amazing success, was it challenging to find what the next mark is, or was it like immediately like, no, we're going to do that again?
Yeah, no, I think it even got me more motivated winning that race. Like the first thing I did after winning that race was to like contact a mental coach to help me become even stronger mentally, because I realized how much mental strength I needed to win that race. I was like, oh, I need to be even better on this side of things. And like, I always look at things to try and be better. Yeah, winning the 500 has just made me want it even more.
Well, and mental performance as well as mental health is something that you're very passionate about and very invested in. And talk about some of the initiatives or the ways that you're prioritizing your mental health to help you not only win the Indy 500, but be the best Marcus you can be.
I try and bring the subject up. You know, I try and talk about it. I think especially in today's day and age, it's a lot... It's sort of a hard world we live in, and I think a lot of people does struggle mentally with mental health and stuff like that. So I think bringing that up and talking about it, I think helps. I've tried throughout the years to work with different organizations that focus on it. You know, with Riley here local in Indianapolis, I've done a lot of things with them. And last year I did a race helmet with them for the month of May. And they had like mental health in kids mainly as like their subject during the month of May, which was really important for me to be part of that. This year, actually, when this is coming out, people will know that I'm running a very special helmet design for the 500 together with the Tim Berglin Foundation, which is Avicii, the DJ. So his foundation is because he committed suicide and from mental health. So his dad has started this foundation about bringing that subject out there and helping, you know, especially young people with mental health issues. I
was in college, I think, when the documentary Tim came out. It was very moving. You know, like you see this guy who, if you're for the outside looking in, you're like, oh my gosh, he's going on tour and doing all this great thing, dropping banger songs. And I remember watching Tim with all my fraternity brothers, and it's like, we had loved Avicii, we still played, you know, and seeing that and being in a room full of, you know, 18 to 22-year-old college-age masculine dudes and being like, man, we got to check in on our guys. Like, even if it might look like it's all sunshine and rainbows, like everyone's, you know, dealing with something.
100%. And I think that's the important thing about it, is just talk about it. And
is he from Sweden?
Yeah, he's Swedish. And like, he was... you know, a big inspiration to me growing up, you know, his music and all that. Yeah, I just think it's very important. I think it's, especially how today is with social media and all that kind of things, I think it's very important to talk about it for that subject to be out there. Avicii's
dad has a foundation, and you're working with them for the Indy 500 this year? Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I love that.
Very cool.
And maybe they'll give some kudos in the snake pit this year, and you know, there we go. Come on. Man, this has been awesome. I do have some fun lightning round questions that we go through at the end. What's your favorite Swedish food?
Swedish meatballs.
Oh, there we go, right? Not the fish.
No, Swedish fish doesn't exist. That's the funny thing, you know. Swedish fish, the candy, does not exist in Sweden. It's a scam.
You heard it here first. What's your favorite Hoosier food?
I love that we have everything here. I feel like you have every type of food here. So I don't know. You tell me what's the like.
Well, I mean, you're in Indiana.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta love pork tenderloins. Have you had a pork tenderloin?
Tell me a good place and I can go and try.
All right, I'll give you.
You have to give me some,
Okay, you'll hear a lot of feedback on this of, is it the best pork tenderloin or is it the biggest pork tenderloin? Yeah. So like Edinburgh Diner down like south of Indianapolis has the biggest. It's very paper thin, but it takes up an entire like lunch school tray. It's huge, but it's like, is it the best one? Like I want
to have the best one.
The best one? Okay.
I'm a big foodie. So like,
one of the best. I think they only serve it 1 month a year. One of the best tasting pork tenderloins I've had was at 101 Beer Kitchen up in Carmel, on the south side of Carmel there. But they only serve it when Hamilton County does their tenderloin trail. So it's like you got to get it while supplies last, because they're kind of like a more eloquent establishment. They're not fancy by any means, but there's like a little bit. It's not like a local diner, dive bar, and it was just like a phenomenally cooked sandwich. But it's like almost. I'll find you a good one, and because there are some dive bars that have just like the best tenderloin. And there's too many, and I don't want to spoil any of the secrets there. The other thing that Indiana is really well known for is the shrimp cocktail sauce at St. Elmo. Have you had that?
That was like my first meal in Indy was St. Elmo's. was
I mean,
like-
it's classic. You get off the
Yeah.
plane, you go see the speedway,
Yeah.
and then you got to go get St.
That
Elmo.
was basically my first day in Indianapolis. Speedway, St. Elmo's. Someone was like, "Try this sauce; it's really good." And then like take a big spoon of it, and I took it and like was.
And you're,
almost
for
dying.
for like 10 seconds, you're like, "What the world did I
Yeah.
just do?"
Really tasty though.
I do want to know you and your teammates. How has the bond been? And building because obviously you're competing against each other,
Yep.
but you're also teammates. And are you friends? How does that relationship work?
It's a bit weird in racing where it's like your teammates is also your competition, right? Like it's not like in other sport where you like win together. Like you want to beat your teammates, but still it's important to work well together because you are still a team that want to improve the car as a team. So you have to have a good relationship. I'm lucky because I'm this year with Colton, Herda, Cal Kirkwood, great guys.
When you won the Indy 500, how did you celebrate?
I was very lucky because I had my wife here, my mom and dad, brother, like my longtime sponsors. Like I had everyone that's like been a big part of my career was here in Indy that day. So it was just insane that everyone was there. And just to celebrate with them, it was really cool. I actually went down to Prime 47 downtown, so that's like
We won't tell
tradition
St.
now.
Elmo. We won't tell St. Elmo that you went to Prime 47. No, they're good too.
Yeah.
That's a really great stakeout. You went to
Yeah.
Prime.
Yeah, so that's now a tradition for me to go there after the race. So we had a really nice dinner there with friends and family, celebrated it there, and then after that, we went to New York for like the media tour with IndyCar.
So
That was really cool as well.
that Sunday.
I was like 6 hours of interviews first.
Oh,
So it was,
yeah.
like insane. With me, had poured milk all over me, and like standing there in the same suit, there was like the milk smelling like.
Yeah, it's 6 hours.
Gross.
You're like, yeah, it's just like milk and sweat, and
So then,
but it's
like,
victory.
Yeah, but yeah, after those 6 hours of interviews, it was like shower, down to Prime 47, dinner, and then celebration with family and friends.
Oh my gosh, we had the guys from Handlebar or the Hangar. Have you seen those the like pedal bars that go around downtown?
Yeah.
There was, oh my gosh, I'll have to look back at. But someone, this might have been 2010s at some point. Someone won the Indy 500 and called them and said, "We want to use a pedal bar that night to celebrate." And he was like, "This is a prank call, like no way." And the whole team rolls up, Indy 500
Really?
champion, like all the stuff, and they drive that all night long. And it was like stops at Wild Beaver, and then like comes back out, goes a few more laps, back to Wild Beaver Saloon, like stops at Steak and Shake, and it was just like that's awesome to know. So yours is Prime 47 is the tradition.
Prime 47.
That's a good
That's
one.
the victory spot. Yeah.
I love it. You have been all over the world, literally from Japan to Indiana, Sweden. What is something that the world needs to know about Indiana?
I think it's the people here that makes it special. I think the Indiana people, what is it, like the Indiana hospitality? Or
The Hoosier hospitality.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah. I think that's special, and I think it's a thing as well. I think people here are super nice, and that's why, one of the big reasons why me and my wife have stayed here for so long. A lot of drivers live down in Florida or live all over the place, but we've always loved it here in Indy, and I think it comes from the people here.
At first, were you kind of like, are these people really that nice? Like, why are they? Like, what do they want from me?
Yeah, it's very different from where I'm from in Sweden. People are a lot more reserved in Sweden, and like that's the cool thing here in Indy. Like people are so open and friendly, and it's easy to make friends. Yeah, it's a really nice place to live.
As you think about all the places you've explored through Indianapolis and Indiana and beyond, what is a hidden gem in Indiana?
Jill Tacos. I hope they're gonna give me some free tacos now.
Yeah, there we go. Wait, so this is up on
It's like by all the car dealers up there. 96th Street.
Gill
I think.
Tacos. Yeah, this is the spot.
Really good. Like their taco, al pastor taco is really good.
All right,
Try that.
that's a spot. Are there other of your? What are some of your other favorite local spots that you like to hang out at?
Convivio up in Carmel, good pasta. Diavola Pizza is like the best pizza in town, in my opinion.
That's at 54th and Monon.
Yeah, exactly.
Right by
yeah.
Mama Corolla. Yeah, that place is
Yeah,
fire.
that one is.
Really
if I
good.
crave pizza, that's the place I go. And then like just the cafe pate choux is my go-to for like lunch, brunch kind of thing.
And
Really
when
good.
you're out and about, how often is it like a ton of people are like, oh my gosh, like I know who that is, versus are you like kind of like incognito?
It's pretty chill, they're every now and then people recognize me, but again, like here in India, I feel like people are so like, it's just people are friendly, and like it's not like people are annoying or like they respect you, but there will be people coming up and say like good luck or like, you know, I'm a big fan or want to take a picture or something, which I just love. You know, I think that's just cool, and you know, I appreciate that.
And it's like sometimes they're probably talking to you, but it's just because like they're just friendly and like, oh, good, like, have a good day or whatever.
No,
like,
exactly, 100%.
Which is so fun. And the diehard racing fans, it's like when they see someone that's an IndyCar driver or part of a team, like out and about, they're like, oh my gosh, like, Like month of May has to just be, you know, electric, you know,
No,
from the
sure.
parade to everything.
That's the thing, like the whole month, I think that's the cool thing with the 500. It's not only a race, it's a whole month, and it's a whole like city that lives with this race. And I love all the tradition. I love the parade. I love all the things you got to do around the 500.
Is there a tradition or a part of race day or just the month of May that's your favorite?
I mean, race day is, you know, walking out on race day and seeing all the fans. I think that's something that's very, very strong for me, just that walking out on the grid. But I think the parade for me is really something I appreciate. I really love that tradition. I think everything about it is just super, super special.
I talked about with Doug Bowles about when like the flyover and all this stuff. And it's like the snake pit stops and it seems like 300,000 people just get quiet.
Yeah.
It's just like... I can't imagine like having to then go get in like a car and you know race her. I'm like no chance. I'm like cracking a beer and I'm ready to like hang out. And it's like the hair in the back of your neck stands up and you're just like this is the biggest sporting event in the world.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool. That's in Indianapolis. It's
like,
pretty cool.
For real. It's like, and if you had to put it in perspective, some of the other races, how many attendees or fans are going to some of the other races?
I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people, and I've been, you know, I raced Monaco Grand Prix, I raced, you know, Silverstone, I raced so many of these classic races. It's like some of the biggest races in the world. But for me, like the Indianapolis 500 is still like so above everything else and so unique and so much cooler than any other race I've done. And everyone needs to go. Like people needs to go to the Indy 500 at least once. Like people need to experience it, because it's one thing to see it on TV, it's one thing to like see pictures, like, but you can't know how it is until you experience it.
There's no excuse. There is something for everyone there.
100%.
Like even
it's
if
not even, you don't even have to like racing at all. It's just an experience. It's such a cool experience.
From people watching to EDM music to like you could get a nice seat like covered or inside suite. Like there's just, if you love racing, it's good for you. If you've never seen a lap of racing in your life, but you'll feel and hear and see the cars go by the first time and you're like, where am I? Man, I appreciate the time today. I have one final question for you. This is where you get to share the love with someone else who's making a big impact. So who's a Hoosier that we need to keep on our radar? Someone who's doing big things.
Yeah, I would say Tyrese then, Halliburton. I mean, he's not local, but he is kind of local.
He's local for sure.
Get in on the podcast.
All right, Tyrese, you heard it, man. We'll get you in here as soon as you get done winning the NBA championship.
There you go. Yeah.
We're gonna have you. I mean,
I was at the Pacers game the other night. I mean, I wasn't there last night when they did the record, but I was there when the Lakers played. And,
was it when LeBron tipped it in?
It was. It was insane.
Were you there for?
I was like screaming, jumping, and then that happened. I couldn't believe it, man. I couldn't believe it.
And it's wild too when like LeBron comes to town and it's like everyone's outside the hotel. Everyone like, because it's like you can track people. Like Indy's a small big town. Like you know where people are.
I love the Pacers though. Like I was so excited last year watching so many playoff games, and I really I wanna see them.
Did
go
you
all the
see
way.
that the 4-point play by Tyrese maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
That was insane. That's why he's our guy.
Yeah,
like that was
100%,
awesome. And then and obviously Caitlin Clark, right? Like
that's so
from
cool,
men's and women's basketball, we're just crushing it, man.
I love
well,
it.
hey, Marcus, I appreciate you coming on, giving us your time, and sharing the story of obviously your racing career, winning the Indy 500. But what I loved, I think, the most is the fact that out of everywhere you could go, whether it be family, friends back home, sunny beaches of Florida, like you choose to be a Hoosier because you value the same stuff that I value, the same stuff that a lot of the listeners value is the people that are here are so special. And it's awesome to have you as a Hoosier and to be part of our Indiana and Indianapolis community. Best of luck. At the time that this airs, it'll be next week. You're going to be competing to go get an Indy 500 championship. We're rooting for you, and keep making Hoosiers proud.
Will do. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Get In. If you like what you heard, make sure you leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is made possible by our friends up at Sweetwater. Whether you're looking to start a podcast or take your content to the next level, click the link in the description to see all of my gear recommendations at sweetwater.com. If you want a behind-the-scenes look at everything we're doing across the state, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nate Spangle. Thank you so much for listening and being part of what makes the Hoosier State great. We'll see you next time here on Get In.